Remove the cross or you don't testify. That's what the judge said to the 17-year-old girl standing in the middle of the courtroom. She clutched it tighter. A thin gold necklace, all she had left from the one person who ever protected her. The room went silent. Reporters stared. Lawyers shifted in their chairs. She turned to her attorney, Pam Bondi, and Pam stood up. But not for herself. This wasn't about religion, she thought. It was about power. She didn't say anything. Not yet. But she was about to. 2 months earlier, Pam had agreed to take a case that nearly every other attorney in the district had turned down. Not because it was weak. On the contrary, it was strong. But it was explosive. Emily Warner, 17 years old, was pressing charges against her stepfather, a respected business owner and donor in the community. She had come forward with evidence, messages, medical records. But no one wanted to get involved. Pam did. When she first met Emily, the girl had barely looked up. Her hands trembled when she handed over the file of documents she had kept hidden under her mattress for 2 years. But what Pam noticed most wasn't the file, it was the necklace. A thin, delicate gold chain with a small cross, old and slightly worn. "She gave it to me the night before she died," Emily had whispered. "Who?" "My grandma. She said it would carry me when I couldn't carry myself." Pam hadn't forgotten that line, not for a second. On the day of testimony, the courtroom was already tense. The media had gotten wind of the trial. Protesters were outside. Inside, it felt like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Emily sat beside Pam, trying not to cry. Pam leaned down, whispering, "You don't have to be perfect. Just be brave." Emily nodded and touched her cross. A bailiff called her name. She stood, her shoulders shaking. Just as she reached the edge of the witness stand, the judge spoke. "Miss Warner, please remove the necklace before testifying." The court must maintain a religiously neutral environment. Emily stopped. Her hand went to her neck instinctively. I can't," she said, barely audible. The judge raised an eyebrow. "It's not a request." Pam rose slowly. Her voice was calm, but the courtroom could feel the air change. "Your Honor, permission to approach?" He gestured her forward, annoyed. "I'd like to request that Emily be allowed to wear the necklace. It's not a statement of faith. It's a symbol of survival. It was given to her by the grandmother who raised her, who died before this case ever began." "That may be," the judge said, "but courtroom decorum applies to all. No exceptions." Pam turned back to Emily, who now looked like she might crumble. Her hand clenched the chain like a lifeline. Pam didn't sit down. She didn't back off. Instead, she took one small step forward and spoke, not just to the judge, but to everyone in the room. "This girl has endured something no child ever should. She's being asked to relive it in public, in front of her abuser, to fight for justice most people never get. That necklace isn't about religion, it's about dignity. It's the only thing her abuser never managed to take from her." Silence. You could hear the ticking of the courtroom clock. The opposing attorney rose. "Your Honor, this is inappropriate. We can't allow emotional appeals to override precedent." Pam looked at him and said flatly, "You're worried about bias." "I'm worried about breaking a girl who finally found her voice." The judge adjusted his glasses. He looked at Emily, really looked. She wasn't defiant. She wasn't rebellious. She was terrified, but still standing. He tapped his gavel once, softly. "Proceed. The necklace may remain." Emily stepped up to the witness stand, not fast but steady. She placed her hand on the Bible. The cross was still there, still hers. And then she spoke. What followed was not easy. She described the nights she'd pretended to sleep, the silent tears, the fear of not being believed. She recounted how her grandmother had once told her, "When you can't say the truth out loud, pray it, and when you're ready, shout it." Emily's voice cracked as she said, "This is me shouting it." Some jurors looked away to hide their tears. Pam didn't move. She just watched, silent, focused, fierce. When the testimony ended, the courtroom remained still. Her stepfather refused to look at her. The verdict came 3 days later, guilty on all counts. Emily didn't cry. She smiled. Weeks later, as Pam cleared out case files in her office, an envelope slid through the door. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note on thick, old paper. It read, Ms. Bondi, 3 years ago I lost my daughter. She was 19. She wore a necklace just like that one. I forgot what it meant. To her, to me. You reminded me. Thank you, no signature. But Pam didn't need one. She closed the letter gently and looked out the window. The Florida sun was setting low, casting soft gold across the buildings. Somewhere, a girl was starting over, still wearing her cross, still standing. 3 months later, Pam received an invitation to speak at a local school. It was a small high school in the same district where Emily used to live. The counselor had asked Pam to talk to the students about courage, about standing up when it's hard, about telling the truth when it could cost you everything. Pam didn't usually say yes to those things, but this time she did. When she arrived, the gymnasium was filled with rows of folding chairs and the buzz of teenagers who hadn't quite realized why they were there. She walked to the front, no script, no slides, just her voice. I want to tell you about someone, she said. She was scared. She had been through more than you can imagine. But she showed up. And when someone told her to let go of the one thing that gave her strength, she held tighter. They listened. Some leaned forward, and one girl near the back quietly reached up and touched the chain around her neck. Pam saw her. She never mentioned Emily by name, never told the details of the case, but she ended with this. When you feel small, when you feel like your voice won't matter, remember this. The truth, when spoken with courage, echoes louder than fear ever could. The students applauded, slowly at first, then louder. The girl with the necklace never approached Pam, but that wasn't the point. Pam didn't need thanks. She just needed to know someone else would wear their courage the way Emily did, out in the open, even when the world said not to. That night, Pam sat on her porch with a glass of water and the soft chirp of Florida frogs in the background. She reached into the pocket of her blazer and pulled out a small object, a silver chain with a tiny cross. Not Emily's, not hers, one she had found in a thrift store years ago and never wore. She set it on the table, then wrote a note on a yellow legal pad. You don't need this to be strong, but sometimes it helps to hold on to something that reminds you you already are. She folded the chain inside the note and sealed it in an envelope. The next morning, she mailed it anonymously to the school counselor, with instructions to give it to any student who needed it. Someone quiet, someone afraid, someone still learning how to shout their truth. 2 years passed. Pam took on new cases, some harder than Emily's, some not, but none stayed with her the same way. Until one afternoon, she opened her inbox and found a message with the subject line, You changed my life. It was from Emily. She was in college now, studying criminal justice. I want to do what you do, she wrote, not just defend people, help them stand. I still wear the cross, not because I need it anymore, but because some days someone else does. Pam smiled. She hit print and pinned the email to her corkboard. Then she sat back, closed her eyes, and whispered a simple prayer of thanks. Not for the victory, not for the verdict, but for the girl who reminded her what fighting really looked like. A year after that, Emily spoke at a local conference for victims of abuse. The video went viral. I was told once to take off my cross before I could speak, she said, but someone stood beside me, and that gave me the courage to stand for myself. Her words spread across social media, not as outrage, but as hope. Pam didn't repost it. She didn't tweet about it. She just watched quietly. And she remembered something Emily's grandmother had once said. This will carry you when you can't carry yourself. Sometimes, Pam thought, it isn't the law that saves people. It's a symbol, a voice, a single moment when someone says, I believe you. A cross in a courtroom, a truth on a witness stand, a girl who didn't back down, and the woman who made sure she didn't have to.